Coming up, Lorenzo Lamas, Dear Abby, and Dick
Arlene went on to marry 3 more times for a total of 5 marriages. Fernando Lamas married Esther Williams and was with her until his death a few years ago. Lorenzo, seen here in his weekly series Falcon Crest, made his film debut in Greece. According to his mother, this hunk of a guy wasn't always an angel when he was growing up.
Oh, he was full of the devil. And he had a little sister who was 4 years younger than he, and he used to, she was the brunt of his pranks most of the time. I remember when we were living for several years in France, he had a step brother, Sasha, that liked pranks too. And I remember I heard about this afterwards, of course, they put a lot of cotton batting around Carol and told her what wonderful things were going to happen to her. They blindfolded her and then put her in the trunk and locked the trunk and threw it down the stairs.
Oh.
Gave her a free ride, you see.
My mother told you these terrible things. I don't remember these stories. Mom.
You don't remember that?
I remember zipping my sister up in a suitcase once. But it wasn't a hard suitcase. It was a soft one, you know, you could breathe.
And what did you do with it?
She said I pushed her down the stairs, but I don't believe that I did.
But you also set off explosions in the locker room when you
That I did, yes. I like to blow up things. I don't do that anymore. I think I did it for attention. I needed attention. I've always needed attention. Maybe that's why I chose the career I chose, but...
Arlene, I understand that when Lorenzo was younger, he actually had quite a bit of a weight problem.
Well, all children have an awkward age that they go through. Lorenzo was growing this way instead of this way when between 11 and 13. So during that time, he'd read these ads in magazines about how you can develop your body, and he set away for some of the exercise equipment and would use it regularly. So that what you see today is a product of what he began at the age of 13 to do, and that is develop his body and develop the muscles, and he even worked with Jack LaLanne on the West Coast. This is funny.
Yeah, because I have a picture of my head of myself at that age. Yes, I was a porker. I had it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how were you able to overcome that?
I joined the wrestling team, and then the following year, I ran track, and I really got into sports.
Did you always want to be an actor?
No. I didn't want to be an actor until after high school. During high school, I wanted to be a veterinarian, because I love animals. But after high school, I came out to the West Coast, and I was exposed to it. I grew up in the East Coast, not even in Manhattan, really, where my mom lived, but I went away to school in Toms River, New Jersey, to a military academy called Farragut, and there really wasn't a lot of theater in Toms River, New Jersey.
He was spending more time with his father, living on the coast and studying drama, really learning to be an actor, because up until that point he'd been the clown at school, he'd been the class comedian, but never really learned the techniques. And both his father and I decided that if he wanted to be an actor, we weren't going to stand in his way, but he'd better learn the techniques of how to be a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Better be a good one.
So I got into drama school in Burbank. I went to a film workshop, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And that's when I decided, I was 18, that's what I wanted to try to be successful at.
Was there a time, the two of you are very close right now.
Yes.
Was there a time when the two of you sort of drifted apart and
Yes.
weren't that close? When
Yes.
was that?
Oh, for a period of about 5 years when he decided to be an actor. He was full of himself, let's say. But success in Greece came when he was 18. And movies with Brooke Shields and various other actors, you know, of note. I think it was pretty heady stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a teenager, it had to affect him a little bit.
Sure.
But he's outgrown that now, and I think he wears his success very well.
I lived with Dad and Esther for a year. And I didn't communicate too much with my mother then. I was influenced. You know, I was in awe of my father. I spent a lot of time, you know, with him. I idolized him. And I just lived for him, you know. And I didn't think too much about Mom then. My mom spent a lot of time away when I was a kid growing up. And there were a lot of times where I wanted her to be there and she wasn't. And there was perfectly good reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
She was busy, you know, working. But I couldn't understand that as a kid. And I held a little bit of a grudge,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Selfish. I was selfish. And I know it hurt her a great deal. And I'm very sorry about that. I really am. I'm sorry that we've you know, kind of let each other go. I kind of let her go, you know.
It's interesting, though. I read an article recently, I think it was in People magazine, that said he sort of has the attitude of, I want my dinner, I want my breakfast, I want my beer. Sounds very macho to me.
Well, that may have been a period when he was trying to emulate his father, who was exactly like that, but with a great sense of humor. And I didn't mind it at all.
I think a man that is really macho is a man that's not afraid of doing the dishes. You know, it's not trapped in some kind of a role of who he thinks or what he thinks a man is.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
At what point did he begin his love of racing? I mean, he absolutely adores to race cars, and that's really a second career for him.
Well, in some ways, sometimes he may think of it as his first career. He's always liked to live on the edge. As a child, he begged me to get a motorcycle, and of course I put it off, and I think he was about 8 when I got him a small motorcycle with, I had a governor put on it so he could only go so many miles an hour.
I'm telling you,
Not too
and I'll
many
tell her, like I've told her for the last 15, 20 years, yeah, 20 years, that it was not a motorcycle, it was a bicycle. Mom, it was a bike, it wasn't a motorcycle, okay?
I didn't think he could get into too much trouble, excuse me, until one day, I remember I was writing one of my columns, and he came in ash white and with his clothes torn, and I looked down at his jeans, his knee, and his knee was all cut open, and I almost fainted.
Racing is a very constructive thing for me. It definitely forces me to channel my energy into positive way, because you know, you can't make a mistake out there. You concentrate. There's a tremendous amount of skill that's involved in racing a car. I love engines. I love the feeling of speed. And I just have had, ever since I can remember, I've loved cars.
Was there ever a time where you asked him to stop racing and said, just please don't do this anymore?
I knew better than that. Lorenzo has always done what he wanted to do. He has always been a speed demon and always loved living on the edge. And I, at a very early age, had learned to let go and let God and trust in God to take care of him.
You know, Lorenzo, I lost my father just about 2 years ago, and it has such a profound effect on your life when you do lose a parent. I feel I've grown up so much since that particular time. What do you think was the lesson that you perhaps most learned from your dad? What did he teach you that stands out as being real important?
My father gave me my spirituality, if you will. My belief in God, my belief in God, and the way you can work with God to make your life fulfilling and happy.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his black humor, you know, his offbeat sense of humor. And he gave me a pride in being Latin, he gave me responsibility for my own actions, you know? There's no such thing as passing the buck because my parents did something or I did something, you know. You do something, you're responsible for it. You know, I believe that. And he just, he was an incredible man. Still miss him. Always will. But he's around. He's in my car. I know that.